Nick Jones, Braden Sturr, Brodie Thompson and Rob Vile is your top 10. A little bit of late breaking mail coming through, which we'll cover in just a few moments, but right now it's all about the start, and a great launch by the Paul Corcoran prepared Jacer, checkmate rather, the number 39 of Tyrone Wiseman walks it off the line beautifully ahead of Heath Collinson, and now Reef McCarthy off the second row of the grid. He wants a slice of the action too. He may very well round them up on the run to turn one here. Wiseman just maybe a little bit tentative, or didn't quite have the top end speed at the bottom end of the straight, and well, usual suspects went back to the front, didn't they?
Just didn't take very long.
Didn't take very long at all.
McCarthy from fourth up to position number one, just like that before turn number one. That's how you do it, using a bit of toe. That's the thing with Formula V, it doesn't necessarily mean whoever got the best start leads to turn one, and as you can see, it's all about the slipstream, all about the toe, and that's what the snake-like behaviour is down the back straight.
That's right. Now, it's important to know this is not defending. This is McCarthy literally trying to get Heath Collinson off his rear exhaust pipe as quickly as he possibly can. Interesting to note, last year's state champion in Heath Collinson has not opted to run the number one. He's retained the number 31 that has adorned the Collinson Black Angus Sabre 02 for the last couple of years. It is at the discretion. It's not a mandatory requirement to run the number one. The option was just there for Heath. He's decided, nope, I don't want to run it. I've run number 31 for plenty of years, and I want to keep that going. Now, you noticed as well that Collinson started on pole. There was a little bit of a late-breaking change. It was actually Reef McCarthy who took pole position earlier this morning, but I believe there's been a little bit of a late protest that was lodged about some passing under yellow flags, or double-wave yellow flags, in fact, throughout the qualifying session this morning, as Casamati is fending off Lee Partridge here. There was a number of cars off the road at Dandenong Road, and one at the last corner as well, so there may have been a few disputes that needed to be settled after qualifying was over, hence why McCarthy was back on row number 2, and it caught us by a bit of surprise. We were only handed the grid sheet about 2 minutes before we went to air with this one, so it was a very late decision to make that change and send McCarthy back 3 spots from where he qualified.
Yeah, it really was just a very strange qualifying session with yellow flags everywhere, and it was a case of, did you improve in that portion of the racetrack? And yeah, there was a few people asking questions at the end of that session, so it appears a couple of positions up and down the grid were changed, including that pulsar to Reef McCarthy.
Certainly was. So Sabres 1, 2, 3 and 4. So McCarthy, Collinson, John Casamati and Lee Partridge. There's been a change of position. Someone's off in a gravel trap. It's a cloud of smoke and dust in there, and that's Brodie Thompson. That's one of the newcomers. That's in the 8 Homes and Urban Edge Homes Jacer, and he's going to need some extraction out of there. He will not get out under his own steam, and I would not be surprised to see a very early safety car called, because unlike this morning, where the cars were buried pretty much right almost up to the fence, the far end fence in the Dandenong Road gravel trap, that one is in a very precarious position and not too far away from the edge of the racetrack. Let's see how it plays out. For the moment, it's still green flag running, but not for very much longer, because just as we called it, there it is. Safety car has been called.
I think really the only logical decision there, that's not out of harm's way for sure, and that is buried deep. I think you struggle to get out of that with a 4-wheel drive. It's that deep. That's certainly up to almost the front nose of the car. So, bit of a reset as we see the Cool Drive car head out onto the circuit to pick up the pack. Bit of jostling for position, but as we say, the main protagonists up the pointy end early in this one.
Hopefully this won't be a very long extraction for the number 15. So Brodie Thompson, one of the couple of newcomers into the category this year. So this is his first year. And another newcomer we talked about was the man who was on the front row there, Tyrone Wiseman. He's actually from New South Wales, and he's doing a 12-month stint as it stands right now in Formula Vee, possibly in preparation for an assault in Formula Ford next year. So wait to see the next stage in his career and how he goes over the course of the next 12 months. So that's an interesting stepping stone. So a lot of drivers will come straight out of karting, they'll have the money, they'll go actually straight into Formula Ford. In this case, going into Formula V, just getting used to, I guess, 4 corners on a car that it's an open wheel category, and then stepping up into Formula Ford depending on how the year pans out. So that's actually not a bad way of sort of approaching it, is it?
What I take from it as well is brilliant car control, clearly pole position on debut, or sorry, second
Front
place.
row, yep.
Yes, second place on debut. But obviously, racecraft in the first couple of laps needs a bit of work, and that's what it all comes down to. First
standing start,
yes,
essentially, isn't
exactly.
it, in one of these cars? So
what a start! Comfortably led straight off the mark, but yeah, in the first couple of laps has been jostled back a couple of positions, and now sits in 6th position. You mentioned the chaos and the carnage in the qualifying session earlier on today. One of those was Andre Kurin, one of the contenders last year. So yeah, he was one of the people that improved as the season went on and became a real race contender late on in the season. Didn't take any race wins, but finished 3rd in the championship. A really consistent year. Not a consistent start though in qualifying. One of those cars that broke down at the final corner. Broke down at the final corner. Didn't set any qualifying lap. Qualified right at the back, but a great start now inside the top 10 already in just a couple of laps.
Yeah, he's made a really good progress from the back of the grid, or second last on the grid essentially for Andre Kurin. As you said, he had set a lap time, but it really wasn't truly representative. It was about 10 seconds or so off the pace in qualifying. And then his campaign as a rookie last year, absolutely stellar. Probably from my mind, he was Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he's a little bit older to get what they call the Vaughan Galenzo Young Gun Award for the club. That actually went to Reef McCarthy for being under the age of, I think it was under 18, with Andre being a little bit older, wasn't able to qualify for that particular award. But yeah, in my mind, stellar year. The sponsors on board that car, the Aussie Boat Sales, IntelliTrack, the Exotic Fleet Branding and Pitter Patter Paws, they've had a great year. They loved what he did last year. They've all signed back on board for this year. There he is, just in the queue back there, the very bright highlight orange and pink car making its way through the field. So they've seen that he's done an exceptional job in 2022. They've come back on board for 2023, and the safety car is about to go in, and Collinson goes at the first opportunity. So caught them napping here. I think that's a good restart from Collinson. Usually the pack racing is very, very good up until the safety car line, but Collinson steals a little bit of a march right at the very first opportunity of asking, and leaves Partridge to have a little bit of a look at McCarthy. Had a nice tow down the front straight and has the racing line, but McCarthy has the inside line and protects that second place.
Yes, a really good race start, as you say, from Collinson, right behind the safety car. As soon as the safety car pulled into the lane, he was right there and already accelerating away. So nice use of his racecraft, and that's so key in Formula V with such a slipstream and such a tow. It's so much down to racecraft and using your head. You can be a fast driver, but if you don't use your head wisely, you won't win races in Formula V.
That's precisely the right attitude that they need to take here. You know, if you don't have a wise head on wise shoulders, you are going to struggle to win the race, because that's where your racecraft comes into play. A bit further down the back of the top 10 here, you've got the number 21 machine of Nick Kerr, the Silver Fox Racing entry, which is a new outfit this year, making his way through the field. Adam Nicholson just ahead of him, and Andre Kurin just behind. There was actually a pretty nasty incident in qualifying between the 21 of Nick Kerr and the 95 of Adam Nicholson, who's putting the blowtorch on the back of the Star Res machine of Ash Clifford here. They came together on the front straight, almost right at the start-finish stripe, and they've had to, right about here, and they've had to get both those cars repaired and facing the right direction. They deemed it a racing incident. It was just a case of one driver missed a gear and the other ran up the backside of the other, and there wasn't really much that either driver could do to avoid the contact. So, right decision by the stewards to call it a racing incident. Cars repaired, no injuries, just a bit of bruised egos and a bit of a bruised race cars, but they're back out there. And I think Nicholson, I would like to see probably try and latch on to the back of this leading group of 6, because he was quite quick toward the end of last year. He was very quick in the Nationals as well, save for the very last race, where unfortunately had another coming together at the last corner and took him out of the finale.
Yes, and as we look here, the first race of this season, it's certainly not plain sailing for the two protagonists. They are at the pointy end, but they have several cars behind them. As I look down towards the rear end of the field, it's on for young and old further back as well. We see
shortcut for Rob Vile. Shortcut through the runoff there and rejoins in behind one of the Acura cars there, which there's actually been a bit of swapping back and forth. There's a new car in that stable, so Damien Spinello's moved up into one of the Jaces this year, and likewise Braden Sturr has also got himself in the Jace there. He's fighting tooth and nail right now ahead of Nick Kerr. Andre Kieran's gazumped a lot of them. He's moved through and gained an extra spot or two. That should bring him up to position number 9. And Kerr is struggling to hold on to position 10 here alongside Braden Sturr, who just tucks back in behind the number 21 Sabre 02 all but briefly. Time running out here on the clock on the left-hand side of your screen there, 6 minutes by our judgment of numbers. So probably about 4 laps left in this race.
Enough for everything to change.
That's the thing, isn't it? You think that the race is settled in Formula V, but it's never settled until the final lap.
As we see, heading down the back straight, 3 wide. So there we go. That is Partridge, isn't it? Yes, moving straight into the lead from 3rd on the straight. So that just proves it, that it can all change.
Something went flying. Yep, that was an exhaust. That was an exhaust that went flying. Oh, switch on the inside here. Collinson down inside. Is it McCarthy's exhaust that's gone?
Yes,
it looks like it.
Yeah.
So that's come adrift just all by itself. No contact involved there. Oh, a little bit. Was there some contact there? Nick Jones potentially had to take a very, very urgent piece of corrective action to avoid being hit by Heath Collinson. That was mightily close. There's the loose exhaust rolling down the incline, and hopefully that's going to get out of the way in time, because that's the racing line through... actually, it's off the racing line now. That's thankful that it's found a resting place. It's away from these cars. But Lee Partridge, welcome back to the front of a Formula V field. This will be a long time since he's been out in front in any form of racing.
What's happened is here, these two, McCarthy and Collinson, the title protagonists from last year, have ended up battling with each other. And even Jones has got in there as well, and it's allowed Partridge to pull a nice margin of 1 second. But if they work together, a bit like what you see in Moto 3, they should be able to catch up using the toe. But they've got to work together. It's whether or not they're willing to do that.
No, that's right. Oh, Josh Munro, he's off at turn 1. He's in the weeds. He's well in the weeds. So, actually, is that turn 1? Yes, it is turn 1. So he's out of the gravel trap, thankfully, but well off the line. These two go to battle again, side by side for the second time. Down here. Oh, McCarthy has gone over the curb, and
Collinson
as well. And Jones gets 2 positions, with McCarthy taking, I guess, the all 4 wheels in the air route, and now Collinson out of business.
That's our reigning champion. Finished all races last year.
He's not happy as well, and I can attest to why. I was about to say, don't rule the likes of Wiseman and Casamati out of this group as well, because they were tacked onto the back. If anything was going to go wrong, they were going to be in prime position to capitalise. They still might feature in this. Double waved yellows at Dandenong Road, so they're hoping that they might be able to finish this race without having to put the safety car out. Jones now loses position to Reef McCarthy, but has Partridge got enough of a margin to hold on here? That's the real question.
So last year, Collinson finished every race. He only won 1 of the 15 races, but won the title through sheer consistency. McCarthy won 7 races, won 3 rounds,
and a couple of DNFs.
But he didn't win the title because he had DNFs, but it's on the other foot this time.
No contact, so there was no contact, but I'm wondering if maybe something may have, I don't know, did something break on Collinson's number 31 Sabre 02 as he sort of took a bit of an unusual line through that part of the track?
I don't know if he saw McCarthy rejoining awkwardly, left him a bit of room, and he was out a bit too much in the marbles, out in the dirty stuff, and couldn't get it slowed down.
Checkered flag is out, so Heath Collinson out of business. Reef McCarthy not going to have enough time, I fear, to catch up to the back of Lee Partridge's number 28. And the man who we saw about 20 minutes ago giving a great overview of what it's like to be in Formula V racing is going to get a win in Formula V. Long time between drinks for race wins for Lee Partridge. Welcome to the top step of the podium.
Very good. Very good start to it. Big fire on the back.
Fire on the number 3 for Braden Stir, and he's going to try. He's done the right thing there, to try and stop the car from running down the hill. Drama on the last lap. Drama in the last 3 laps. Loose exhaust. Car's going off. And, well, now a car on fire. Victorian Fire and Rescue Squad on the scene really quickly to put that out. That could be some costly damage. So Braden Stir falls out of a potential top 10 finish to see, wow. I'm speechless. I wasn't expecting any of that to finish the way that it did.
And it's got such important championship implications in race number 1 of the season as well. This will, it's now Collinson who's got to play catch up for the rest of the season almost. It's a big haul of points that he's lost in on day number 1. But as you said, it started off with your dramatic first qualifying session, and it's just continued throughout the day. Kurin, who we say was involved in he stopped in qualifying, one of the title contenders last year, recovered to 8th. That's pretty good, and if you look at one of his title rivals didn't finish, well, from his point of view, that's even better.
Absolutely. So running through the top 10 here, Lee Partridge with a win. So there's a long time between wins and podium finishes for Lee Partridge. Ahead of Reef McCarthy, who just couldn't quite get there in the end. Nick Jones, an excellent third in the 1998 model Jace-Up. And then Tyrone Wiseman and you've got the 5th place was, I think it was Adam Nicholson. So that's what's happened to Braden Stir. I don't know, does it look like there's any... Oh, so close to being some secondary contact,
Engine failure.
Yeah.
There's oil all over the track behind him, hence also why he went into the corner backwards as well. There's been a big engine failure there. That's why he had to leap out. He knew there was a fire. He knew what had happened. But, yeah, look at that massive trail of oil. And I imagine there'll be a trail of oil going all the way down the back straight as well. Yeah, I think you're probably right there. And I know the Acura crew have actually had a bit of a difficult time over the last couple of weeks. They've had several engine rebuilds, and they've actually done an engine change in another one of their cars overnight as well. So this is another setback on what's been a very difficult weekend for the Pitman Trucks backed outfit for Acura Motorsport, and this is going to take some sort of digesting to understand why there was some sort of an oil failure or some sort of an oil issue that's led to a fire aboard car number 3. Did really well there to get it out and keep it off the road as well, because of course you don't want the car rolling back over a live racetrack.
Viewers at home will be familiar with this face. This is Lee Partridge, and behind him is his Sabre 02, and he's very kindly agreed to take the microphone from me and give you a quick technical overview of what a Formula V is. So without further ado, here is Lee Partridge.
Cheers, thanks Callum. Yeah, so this is my Sabre 02, built by Ball & Racing Developments here in Melbourne. It's a local company. The car was built in 2010. It is a Formula V, which is a Volkswagen-based category, a 1600cc Volkswagen engine, so early Beetle Volkswagen kind of engine and gearbox. Front of the car is also Volkswagen-based H-beam. That's all the controlled components that are in this category. We have all sorts of cool things though, like Penske shocks, rack and pinion steering, which is a bit more modern. This car does have full data, so we were able to have Motec data logging in the dash. Things like line lock and all sorts of cool stuff that Formula Fords have. This car actually shares a lot of componentry with a Ball and Formula Ford in regards to the chassis structure of how the car's built, and then they've adapted the Formula V stuff to it. 1600, as I said, 4-speed H-pattern gearbox, which is straight out of a Volkswagen Beetle, just reverse so it can actually drive in a straight line forwards, because the engine is in a Beetle is the other way around. So slight modifications to make it work, but it's all fairly standard and very much control category. So there's lots of rules and regulations in the internals of the engine regarding piston weights and flywheel weights and all sorts of things like that. So have a fuel tank in there behind the seat, which is roughly about 15 litres capacity. We don't use a lot of fuel in these cars, being such a small capacity car. They're a controlled Dunlop tyre. In the back it's Penske shock as well. But other than that, it's very, very basic sort of car. Fiberglass bodywork, which half of it is off at the moment that you can see. But we run all sorts of cool things to try and get a leg ahead with the rest of the category. It's a control category, so everyone's effectively got the same speed. That's up to the driver's input to make them go fast. And other than that, Formula Vee, come and have at it.
The reigning champion, he's got it all to do in this one.
He's basically got to do what Andre Curran did yesterday, find his way through the field and be in position for an assault on race 3. So for GR Motorsport Electrics, we're set to go. The second race of Formula Vee here in 2023, and off the line McCarthy gets the jump just a fraction quicker on the accelerator pedal, get the clutch lifted, get it out of first gear and into the second gear change. It happens very, very quickly in Formula Vee. And even Rob Viles had a very good start as well. He's now found himself ahead of Adam Nicholson. So a bit of a tardy start for the number 95 Acura Motorsports Stinger as they pour into turn 1 for the first time here on Sunday's racing in Formula Vee. Partridge has just lost a bit of ground here. McCarthy has held ground into turn 1 at the beginning of this race, and he's checking out. He's wasting no time whatsoever. He wants to get away from this pack. We saw yesterday when he started off in pole position, Collinson was really the only one that could really go with him at the beginning of the race, and just like now, they're just playing a bit of fun and games and a bit of cat and mouse here, snaking one side of the track to the other. They don't want to give their fellow competitors any sort of tow up the long straight into turn 6.
See a bit of dust there. That's from an oil spillage that was in the previous race, so there's no issue there. It's just simply dust to try and clear up the oil spillage as quickly as possible. See them stream through. Look at McCarthy. He's got himself a nice little margin early on in this race from pole sitter Partridge and yesterday's race winner, as we say. And then it's very tight behind him with Jones and the chasing pack. So yes, it's very much still a 5-horse race up front, but McCarthy will be pushing hard to try and break away from the chasing pack. Look at Collinson. Look at him. He's flew through the field. Where is he?
He has made up 8 positions on lap number 1 alone. Now he's just gone past Nick Grigg and Brody Thompson, one of the rookies. Have a look at Andre Curran. He's wasting no time as well. He actually picked up a couple of spots. He's now got 2 more, and his stablemate Ash Clifford in the 17 machine has gone wide at turn 1 and has dropped about 5 spots in one corner. And he's now caught up with Darren Power and Samuk Rudrapatna now. So got a much quicker car there in the Sabre 02. Needs to get himself in the right zone again now and pick his way back through the midfield, which is becoming a very, very talented and a very, very close and competitive midfield in Formula Vee. So Curran started out of position number 8. He now finds himself in second after 1.5 laps and right in the tow of Reece McCarthy heading up the hill to 6. Here's Casamati, is the other half of the Beecham Racing stable. So of course the number 61 of Reece McCarthy and the 25 of John Casamati, both out of Greg Beecham's crew of drivers. And he's now found his way ahead of Rob Vile. Those two actually profited from the off-track excursion for Ash Clifford.
You mentioned Curran up to second. He did very well last year in his debut season. Slowly built a great season, improved round after round, and was fighting for race victories late last year. Yet to get one. This is probably his best chance with the reigning champion Collinson buried in the pack as he makes another position. He'll be up with this lead pack potentially by the end of this race.
It'll be 2 here. He's just gone past Rudrapatna. He's about to get the move done under brakes on Darren Power as well. And Rudrapatna in the Acura machine says, thank you very much. The door was open there and Power had no answer. So straight down the inside for the number 60 machine. The Acura Motorsports team have actually had a fairly handy start to this race, but they've had a very, very torrid weekend as well. They've had Braden Sturr's unfortunate issue yesterday, which was actually as a result of it coming together off screen that we didn't see with Nick Kerr, but they've had engine changeovers and all sorts of rebuilds as well. Particularly it's put a bit of a strain on one of the mechanics, Wayne, down there, who's actually about to celebrate his birthday tomorrow, and he was looking forward for a really good weekend, but he's been on the tools just about every hour of every day so far, and they wanted to just give him a shout out and say, well, we're looking forward to your birthday tomorrow, and thank you for all your efforts.
There's a blue machine, a navy blue machine.
Oh no, it's Casamati. He's gone deep. He's avoided getting into the kitty litter, so he should be able to get reverse and get out of there. But he's just got to wait for all these cars to come down the hill. There's one more, which is Ed Filippi, and they've been battling some steering issues there. But he's going to try and drive this out forwards. That's a shame. We haven't got to replay that one, unfortunately. Here we go. Change at the front. Andre Curran to the lead of this one. McCarthy doesn't like that. He's going to hold the defensive line into turn 1. That opens the door for Jones in the artshop.com.au machine.
Yeah, so reshuffling of the pack. McCarthy back to the front. Curran reshuffle back to third, and Jones slots in the middle. It's not plain sailing for McCarthy, who won, what was it, 7 races, 7 of the 15 races last year. Certainly dominated in terms of race victories, but just missed out on the championship by 0.02 of a second, wasn't it? It really was a thrilling finale. And look at this, the lead pack has broken away, and just in the background you can see just behind, second in the second pack, is Collinson.
Yeah, he's got Nicholas Kerr to get through, who's currently in 7th place at the moment, but then it's going to be some sort of an effort to catch up to this leading group of 6. Personal bests from just about the whole entire field. Last time around, very loose for Adam Nicholson in the stinger, pushing very, very hard behind Tyrone Wiseman there. Just got a little bit too greedy, trying to keep the speed up through Dandenong Road corner. He's not quite lost touch with the leading group of 5 cars just yet. He's going to be relying on them just to fight and duke it out for a little bit longer so he can get back into the frame here. Almost 3 wide. Curran with the inside run now down towards Dandenong Road corner. And we've got Spirit back. It's Clifford again. So 2 incidents for Ash Clifford in this race so far at either end of the front straight. Curran to the lead.
Indeed, once again, so it seems to be that third's the place to be coming onto that pit straight. Now the last 2 laps, the person in third has led going into turn number 1, using all the road. Out wide there is Curran, trying to get a great run onto the back straight. It's so important, that corner, it really is. It's probably the most important corner on the track, because you've got to get good drive out there, or else you'll be a sitting duck, particularly in these Formula V's, down the long back straight. And we're seeing 3 wide. This is why you need a good exit.
Oh, this is going to get interesting. Down into turn 6. Jones was scored as the race leader across the line last time around, but they sort themselves out. Curran has had a bit of a poor run off of turn 4, and he's been passed by both McCarthy and Jones. Now, we do need to clarify this little issue. There was a comment in the live stream yesterday about the word gazumped.
Yes.
From, I think, probably one of our overseas viewers who's watching and wondering, what on earth does gazumped mean? It's another fancy word for being passed in a rapid fashion. It's no different to a lot of, I guess, the old colloquial slang here. You know, we say snag instead of sausage. And we say all sorts of things like, you know, Macca's instead of McDonald's or Mickey D's or whatever they call it. So one of those little colloquialisms, I think we call it when it comes to racing, coined, of course, by the lovely Darren Smith.
Indeed, yes. Terms I've had to get used to, snag and stuff being a pom. So yes, there's many terms I can tell you that you have to get used to in this fine country. As you see, into turn number 2. Bit of a fight between Wiseman, Partridge and the number 95 machine of Nicholson.
Now they've got to be careful here too, because they're starting to scrap. They're starting to lose a little bit of touch with the lead 3 of Curran, Jones and the man in front, McCarthy. Now, out of curiosity here, Nicholson was the quickest of the leading 6 cars last time around, but Collinson's steadily been gaining some ground. He's actually been a good few tenths of a second quicker than the majority of the leading group of 6 cars over the last 2 or 3 laps. So he's got some time, but he's got too much margin, I think, at the moment to rein in before he can even think about making some moves for a top 6 finish. So his hard work is done right now.
I think he's just run wide. I think there's a little bit of a lock-up. I think he stayed on the road, but yeah, he's pushing hard. But as you say, without a toe, he's struggling to catch up to these guys up in front. He's catching a few tenths a lap, but the margin's too big. I think on the straight, particularly the back straight, it looks closer than it is, but when we get to some corners, you can see it's still 5 seconds, that margin.
He's got it down, though. The margin keeps coming down for Heath Collinson, even though McCarthy was a 128.3 last time around. Curran was the fastest lap at 128.1. Collinson at a 128.4 is still quicker than at least 4 of the cars ahead of him at the moment. So he's gaining. He just needs some help. He needs these guys out in front to start to battle some more and just take time off each other, and then he's going to be right there. They're starting to string out now as well too, so this could also be some music to Collinson's ears. There might be one maybe 2 positions possibly up for the taking. As we look a bit further down the field here with the JRD driver of the 33 machine, that happens to be Nick Grigg, with a pass being affected by Charlie Richardson in the Jacer.
Just looking further down, Munro 76, the orange machine. His wretched weekend unfortunately continues. He's in the lane and out of action in this one. What a shame, as we say. Incident in qualifying, off at turn 1 in race 1, and out of the race once again this afternoon now, as we've just gone past 12 o'clock in Victoria, as we see the battle up the hill for these guys, car number 33 and number 44 was that?
Yeah, that was the Jacer with not as much power in a straight line. You got the recovering John Casamati in the Sabre 02 picking his way through the field. All tucked in here behind David Stewart and Stinger. And Casamati's just gone past Mick Fisher, who's just coming off of another, I don't know, I've lost how many count of this, is a recent Facebook ban. He wasn't very pleased about it. By the time he'd gone and credited another account, it had been unbanned. So we still don't know why. He was off air for a couple of days on Facebook, but he's back up and running at the moment.
All of the leading contenders, the top 7, all set personal bests on the last lap.
And Partridge were the fastest.
Indeed, yeah. Partridge to the first lap of the race on that last lap, 27.77. And because they weren't fighting, that was the first lap that Collinson was slower than all of the pack he is chasing. So he needs them to fight to be able to catch up to them.
And that's despite the fact that Collinson also set his personal best on the last tour as well. It just so happened that everybody else ahead of him also set their personal best and happened to be quicker. So that's the first real sign that sort of Collinson, I think, is going to be running out of time. 5 minutes left on the clock to really make any proper inroads into this group. It's really started to string out now in front here, with McCarthy having held the lead for a good 3 or so laps now, with Jones and Curran tucked in behind him, and Partridge is just lurking in the background. They've dropped the likes of Tyron Wiseman and Adam Nicholson, and Collinson can see them. That's got to be the frustrating thing for him at the moment. He can see the 6 cars ahead of him, and he's just willing the Sabre 02 on to go a bit faster, just an extra couple of Ks, just break a touch later, and maybe I can play some catch up. But no, not quite. He's still got a lot of hard work to do.
As we see, these top 4 now appear to be gapping Wiseman and Nicholson as well. So I think it's quickly becoming a quartet up the pointy end of the field. McCarthy leading by 4/10 from Jones, Curran and Partridge.
Another position for Casamati. He's past the Bianco reinforcing entry there of Charlie Richardson, and now sizing up a move on fellow Sabre driver Nick Grigg, and he gets that move done at turn 1. Very, very smart move. Jones now takes the lead heading down into Dandenong Road. So is he going to enjoy a couple of laps at the front, a la like McCarthy has done for about the last 3 laps? And Partridge is now right closed in on the back of Andre Curran now too. So whatever happened up the back straight, that's actually been good for Lee Partridge. He's made about a car length or two's ground on the leading trio.
I think from what I saw anyway, McCarthy missed the apex slightly at turn number 4, and it affected his run, and it's now left him a sitting duck, although he's going to the outside here with the use of a great slipstream with 3 wide. Curran to the inside, McCarthy to the outside, and they both swamp Jones, demote him down to 3rd. McCarthy, a bit of a lock-up around the outside using all the curb, but he is back in front where he wants to be with 3 minutes to go.
Rear end stepped out a little bit there when he turned in for turn 2, but he had it all under control. Ragdoll in the car, up and over the outside curb at turn number 4. A much better run onto the back straight this time. Now, there is some lap traffic in play here. You've got Ayrton Filippi and you've got the recovering Ash Clifford, who's fallen way down the order. So there's been a JRD car start at the rear of both races, and we've got David Stewart, who's come to a halt, looks like on the driver's left, exiting turn 9. So there'll be yellow flags out at the moment. So got to get your passing moves done now. Kieran's got that done. There'll be a flag out here to say, keep your eyes peeled for the car. Actually, there's yellow flags waving there. I'm hoping that the passes were done before those flags came out.
I believe there were. That shouldn't be an issue. So it's now Curran from McCarthy, Jones, Partridge, and look who's back in it, Wiseman.
And they've dropped Nicholson. So I think as the leading group checked up, as the last lap board goes out, I think while the leading group checked up a little bit just to avoid the yellow flags, that's given a free kick to Wiseman here. He's in this. Don't count him out for a podium. There could be a late change in the pecking order here. 4 wide, heading down the front straight. Who comes out in front? It's Curran, and Jones picks off McCarthy in the process.
Yeah, we saw Wiseman. He used his head there. He thought, oh, I'm far on the inside line. I've got to pull out of this or else there will be an incident. So although he's new to the category this weekend, look at that, using all the road, our race leader Curran. He knows how vital the exit is down that back straight, but I think that was a little too wild, a little too wide, and that will affect his run. Here comes McCarthy. Will the lap traffic play a factor in these closing corners? I think it's possible. We can see the back marker looking in his mirrors. He can see what's coming, and hopefully he will stay out of the way as we're 3 wide. Can we go 4 wide? Who's going to yield here?
Yellow flag. So the yellow flag, they've had to yield here. So Jones got through on Curran before they reached the yellow flag zone. Lap traffic may play a late factor. We'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Jones, the green flags will be out now, so there's only one more opportunity here. It's a stab under brakes into turn 12 and then or potentially out-dragging your opponent down the front straight if they have a poor run. But McCarthy's done this several times before. He's sliding his way through the last corner, and he salutes, hand in the air, and he's going to take this one out. Race 2 goes to the Sabre 02, number 61, Reef McCarthy, ahead of Nick Jones and Andre Curran. And what a great battle that was right up until the closing few laps.
Yeah, top 5 separated by just 1.2 seconds. That's close Formula V action, but it's not done. They're still battling further down the field.
You got Spinello here with Brodie Thompson and Samuk Rajaratnam eyeing off one more spot. If any of them make a mistake, there could be a very close finish at the line here between the two chasers. It's going to be Spinello just. And just to compound matters for Casamati, he looks like he's had another off down there at turn number 9 late in the piece.
He'd recovered up to position number 12 at least at one stage, but yeah, this is going to drop him outside the top 15, unfortunately. So very few points in the feature race for a man who won at Island Magic late last year. Here he comes across the line, and yeah, it will be position number 18. It's 17, even worse than I first thought. So a disastrous race number 2.
Set to go, just waiting on the lights, and we will be underway. Estimate we're probably going to get about 7 or so laps in this short, sharp sprint for Formula V, and off we go. There's already some yellow flags waving at the back. I didn't see if there was somebody that didn't quite get away cleanly, but here we go, already on the run to turn number 1. McCarthy with Partridge on what would be the preferred racing line. McCarthy with the inside running here. He'll hold sway into 1.
Of the front group is Curran, who made the worst start, and we've seen him drop back to 4th position behind the fast starting Partridge, who will be looking for another race win now. He's been shuffled back as well, Curran, behind Wiseman down to 5th position. But it's been these 5 up the front that have been battling away all weekend long, and I think in this final race, throw in Heath Collinson in there as well in the black and green machine on the tail of Nicholson as they head up the hill. As we look, there's likely going to be a change of position, or at least a look here from Nick Jones up the inside. Nicely done, well executed, takes the lead on lap number 1.
The magenta and yellow artshop.com.au car goes to the front in the early running here. Partridge has picked up a spot as well. He's gone up to what is now 3rd place in the running order. Same for Tyron Wiseman. He's picked up 1 spot up to 4th place. And the man who has shuffled back in the order is the 32 machine of Andre Curran. So still in a good spot here, along with Adam Nicholson and Heath Collinson. There he is, the Collinson Black Angus Sabre 02, number 31. He's tacked on to this group, and the leading group of 7 is trying their best to break away from the next pack, which includes Nick Kerr, Rob Vile and John Casamati.
The slow car that caused the yellow flags at the start was that green machine at the back of the shot.
Brodie Thompson then, that would be the one that was for the yellow flag.
See them hurtle around turn number 1. Curran looking to make up lost ground on lap number 1. He's up the inside of Wiseman, where he was overtaken last lap and does so successfully. And we see Partridge take position number 2. So it's our 2 race winners from the first 2 races of the season out front, with McCarthy trying to pull a little bit of a margin. He's pulled out a little sizable lead on this first half of the lap, and he's pulling over to the far left-hand side to try and not give a toe to any of his rivals behind. They're all on the outside, the right-hand side as they're looking at it, and they're helping each other. Here comes Collinson up the inside of car number 95, Nicholson, and further behind Casamati, who had a shocking race number 2. 2 mistakes down here at Dandenong Road. This corner where we are now saw him finish way down the order, well outside the top 15, unfortunately, after what was a really promising start to the season yesterday and a brilliant end last season, taking a victory at Phillip Island.
Yeah, Casamati's second race this weekend was like a yo-yo, wasn't it? He was up at the top of the end, and then he went down all the way to the back, and then he went back up again, and then he ended up finishing down. So just like the yo-yo, up and down, up and down. So for him, hopefully it's only going in one direction this particular race, and that's forwards, which means up the order for him. McCarthy running solo has managed to pump in the fastest lap on lap number 2 at 27.9. Now these guys behind can't go on like this for too much longer. If they're going to really threaten for the race win here, they need to sort themselves out. They need to get the fastest car out in front. They then need to be able to slipstream and drag the other cars through and play a very, very smart game of leapfrog to keep inching closer and closer to the Beecham number 61 out in front. Right now, they're not doing that, and they are losing at least a couple of tenths a lap to Reef McCarthy.
Yeah, it was actually a full second last lap, around 1:27.90 for McCarthy. His nearest challenger was the man in second, Partridge, 1:28.96, so a full second faster than the chasing pack last time around.
This race might be over as McCarthy keeps going the way that he's going. He is absolutely chalking it up at the front of the field. He's look at the gap he's got at the moment. I reckon he's nearly doubled the advantage that he had across the line last time around at 1.3 seconds. It's got to be close to 2 seconds right now. With 7 minutes on the clock remaining, this race might just be all about who's going to finish second and third.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I can remember seeing a margin like that.
2.2 seconds this time around. So yeah, he's absolutely bolting away at the front of the field. This is a hallmark of Reef McCarthy over the last couple of years. He's been able to run solo at a lot of places where typically the draft has a lot to play into effect. So that's here at Sandown and at Phillip Island. He just absolutely seems to just switch it on, and he can run without anybody really threatening him. Just put your head down, blinkers on like a racehorse, and just gone.
Absolutely, and we can see this battle for seconds intensifying. So it's now Partridge in second. Yeah, he was 9 tenths slower again on that last lap. So McCarthy's gone. I think it is almost a battle for position number 2 now. So it is Partridge from Jones, from Wiseman, Curran. Then we got Collinson and Nicholson. So it's a 6-car fight for second. This is going to be exciting stuff with 6 minutes to go.
You can see that Ash Clifford's made his way through from the rear of the grid in the black 17 machine there, just disappearing out of shot. He was a rear of grid starter, having a horrible second race of the day. He now finds himself running behind John Casamati in 9th. Last place inside the top 10 is Rob Vile. He's just flashed across the bottom of your screen there in shot. Then you've got the Silver Fox Racing Sabre 02 of Nick Kerr, and he's engaged in combat here with Damien Spinello out of the Acura Motorsport stable. That car's actually fairly new to that group in the last couple of months or so. It's formerly the car actually campaigned by John Casamati for a good chunk of the last 2 years. He's now, of course, switched over to a Beecham prepared Sabre 02, number 25, and that car now finds its home with the Acura Motorsport stable. In a good set of hands, actually. Spinello's done quite well for a rookie last year, stepping up into a different car this year. It's a whole new ball game when you go from a one car manufacturer to another, different set of driving style and different characteristics to get used to. And there's plenty of change going on here. Some more things for us to get used to. Wiseman now has the hold of position number 2 in the checkmate prepared by Paul Corcoran.
Only person to get within a second of McCarthy on that last lap, a 28.7, comfortably faster than anyone in the group around him, and that's why he's propelled himself to P2. But with the tow, Nick Jones simply slides his way back up the inside over the top of the hill. So it's very much a chess game at this point in time with 4 minutes to go. Where do you want to be come the start of the final lap? Not sure I'd want to be ahead. But then if you're ahead at the start, you might get it back up the back straight. It's very much a thinking men's game at the moment.
Oops, that's, again, is Casamati been off there, I think, at Dandenong Road, or he's made a mistake and just bobbled it, so he's kept himself out of the gravel track. So looks like he's dropped a spot there potentially to Ash Clifford as they come to the line here. Actually, there is Ash Clifford, so he has dropped at least one spot, Casamati. We'll go back to position 9.
Four wide on the run to turn number 1. Kerr in the far inside, and Collinson's looking there as well. Oh, they all leave each other some racing room. That's good, clean racing. And it's Kerr in now from Wiseman, but Wiseman wants the outside. That'll be the inside for turn 3. Thinks better of it. Very awkward to get your wheels tangled in an open wheel around that tight technical chicane as they head down the back straight. Collinson, I thought with the speed we've seen from him in race number 1 and then making his way through the field in race number 2, I thought Collinson would be making his way towards the front of this group a little faster than he has.
I think he's finding it a bit more of a challenge to get to the front of this group than he ideally thought it was going to be, and he's having to sort of just keep a watching brief right now. He's going past Adam Nicholson in the number 95 Stinger FV. 2 by 2 going round the top of turn number 6, and they pop out the other side without tangling. Curran, I was worried had missed a gear coming out of turn number 1, and it was a little bit slow, but he's managed to hold them all off heading up the hill and now through Dandenong Road. So great driving, not just by the number 32 driver aboard the Sabre 02, but from everybody in that group to minimise any potential contact going through what is a very difficult and committed part of the circuit. 2 laps remaining in this race with just 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock. Well, Dan, what do you think? Where do you want to be in this group at the moment? Do you want to be sort of maybe second or third in the running order and sort of maybe pick one driver off at a time as you try to make your way to the front of the group? Or do you want to save it all for the last lap?
It's risky though, isn't it, being in third, because you might be overtaken like that. Wiseman third in the group, and now he finds himself in fourth. That's the thing. When you're in the middle, you got to look behind as much as you are looking ahead, and that's part of the issue.
This is the critical corner too.
Yes.
I think for this lap and for the next lap. Critical corner is turn number 4. If you can get the drive off that corner and you are at the head of this group, you might just have enough heading up the back straight to insulate yourself from a potential pass heading down into Dandenong Road. And I think just about everybody got a move done out of turn number 4. Jones looks like he's got the best of the drive out of turn 4 and the slipstream help. He's now gone to the head of this group, but for how long?
I don't think long, because what we've seen so far today is if you lead onto the pit straight coming out the last corner, you will lose the lead by the time you get to turn 1. The question is, will you lose that position before the finish line? That's what you got to think. If you lead out of here, let's look at it this time. We see Jones exit the final corner, and it looks like he's going to hold on across the line this time, just. So that's the key. So I don't think you're going to get the move done out the last corner before the line next time through. I'll probably be proven wrong. But yes, as we can see, easily overhauled by the time they get to turn number 1.
You have to make a mistake out of the final corner to really lose your position, because it's such a short run to the start-finish line out of the last turn. It's not like Phillip Island where you're carrying so much speed around the final corner and the draft becomes so powerful heading towards the main straight. And it's such a long run, it just keeps to like, where's the line going to come up? And for these guys, it's like, where is my next position going to come from? Collinson looks up the inside at turn 4. That's going to cause Nicholson and himself to lose momentum. Does that mean they've lost touch potentially with the group ahead of them? I think that's very, very crucial, losing the drive off of turn 4. I think it's now down for the podium spots. I think it's now down to Curran, Partridge and Nick Jones to settle it. Maybe Wiseman, just if the top 3 ahead of him just start to trip over each other a bit, but even he's starting to lose some ground right now.
See, it seems like it's going to be out of these 3. It's going to be crucial, the exit out of this corner into the final sequence of corners. It's Partridge from Curran, from Jones at this point in time.
Partridge, I think, has possibly done enough here. He's led it. If he leads out of Dandenong Road,
Missing
there's
Collinson.
one. Oh, it's Collinson. Collinson's gone backwards at 9. McCarthy's going to take the win. The real battle is about what's happening for second behind. I was about to say I think Partridge has just done enough, and he has. He's done enough to hang on to position 2 here. Curran's going to get third ahead of Nick Jones, with Nicholson and Ash Clifford now the beneficiary of his teammates' unfortunate spin at turn 9. Seems to have been a major hotspot this weekend at turn 9.
Collinson is still not crossing the line. I thought he might have only lost a couple of places.
No, he hasn't
He's
got
still
going
not
yet. There
to the
he
top.
is.
There he is. So what's that going to be? Position number 14. What a shocker for the reigning champion. A DNF of 14th. And a
7th.
Yeah, 7th. Not good points haul for a man who was so consistent last year.